Number 1, I call Stephen Kerr.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government what its response is to the ruling of the Scottish Information Commissioner that it should release legal advice that it received regarding a SIGINT independence referendum.
Cabinet Secretary Angus Robertson.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. We've received the decision from the Scottish Information Commissioner and are considering its terms. We will respond within the deadlines set by the Commissioner. There is a long-standing convention observed by UK governments and Scottish governments that government does not disclose legal advice, including whether law officers have or have not advised on any matter except in exceptional circumstances. The content of any such advice is confidential and subject to legal professional privilege. This ensures that full and frank legal advice can be given.
Stephen Kerr.
Yesterday, the First Minister refused to commit to the Government actually publishing the legal advice in full, despite the ruling of the Scottish Information Commissioner. And can the Cabinet Secretary confirm that the Government will publish this advice in full as recommended by the Information Commissioner, or are they intending to go to court to prevent this advice from being made available to public scrutiny?
Cabinet Secretary.
As I've said, we've received the decision from the Scottish Information Commissioner and we are considering its terms. Any departure from the Convention is a significant thing. Legal professional privilege and the Law Officers' Convention protect legal advice given to all governments in these islands. This is a significant ruling by the Commissioner, and given that, we want to consider it carefully. We'll respond within the deadlines set by the Commissioner.
Stephen Kerr.
I think that was the answer we had some moments ago. The Scottish Government civil servants are secretly working on a referendum prospectus and now learn that public money may be used to cover up legal advice on a SIGINT referendum. This Government is spending hundreds of thousands of pounds, maybe millions, on its referendum obsession and refusing to allow any of it to be open to public scrutiny. Does the Minister recognise that all of this is an insult to Scottish taxpayers who are being forced to pay for secret preparations for a referendum next year they do not want?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, the first thing I'd observe to that political speech that we had at the end, rather than a question, was reflecting on the fact that this Parliament has been elected with a majority of members to deliver a referendum during this term. A fact that Mr Kerr finds very difficult to respect or even acknowledge. It is entirely appropriate for the Government to pursue the policies it was elected to do, and in terms of the legal advice, pursuing it in line with the precedent of both UK and Scottish governments. We will reply to the Information Commissioner's findings, and we will do so in due course.
Julian Martin.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. When a political party is voted into government on a manifesto commitment to hold an independence referendum, not once, but twice since 2014, can it be judged that this is the will of the people and that it's their democratic right to see it fulfilled?
Yeah, I think, Cabinet Secretary, the substantive question was about the response to the ruling of the Scottish Information Commissioner. So I will move on to take Sarah Boyack.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. There is now a clear pattern of behaviour under this SNP government. Advice and documents which have a significant impact on the government's priorities are hidden from members of this Parliament and from the people of Scotland, whether it's ferries, the ECHR or the Constitution. Does the Cabinet Secretary not agree that the people of Scotland, regardless of their views, have a right to see this legal advice to enhance public debate in line with the Information Commissioner's ruling? And will he not make arrangements for the immediate publication of this legal advice, given its significance to the whole of the population of Scotland? And what will he do in his work with MSPs to improve the transparency of information?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, I think, Presiding Officer, I'm here specifically to answer questions in relation to the Information Commissioner and his ruling. I can but repeat what I have said to colleagues already, which is it's a significant ruling, it's one that must be considered in the round, and we will reply to that in good time within the deadlines that have been set. What I find quite interesting about the tone so far, both from the Labour Party and the Scottish Conservative Party, is that there seems to be a willingness to depart from the established custom and practice in relation to legal advice. And it might be helpful in the weeks ahead for both parties to clarify their position on whether they think that government ministers in Scotland or indeed the UK should be able to receive information from their legal advisers with the confidence that has been custom and practice, not just for years, but for decades.
Colette Stevenson.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Given the pro-independence SNP and Greens won a majority of seats in the 2021 election, does the Scottish Government believe that democratic decision should be respected and that people of Scotland have the right to choose their own future, the choice to become a fairer, greener, independent European country?
Thank you. I will just remind members that it is essential that supplementary questions refer to the substantive question on the paper, and we will therefore move to question number 2, Faisal Chowdhury.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government what measure it is putting in place to ensure that Ukrainian families